What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Black Men Unfiltered Network. Get your popcorn ready. Ladies, get your glass of wine together right now. Sip it, because we're about to take you on an emotional journey that you've never been on in your life. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be mad, you're going to be happy, you're going to agree, you're going to disagree, and that's what Black Men Unfiltered is about. We want all of you to have a voice, and this is the place where voices are heard. So thank you guys, because we're going to have the conversations that nobody else wants to have, and we're going to come to a medium, we're going to come to solutions, or we're going to agree to disagree, but you're in the right place to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I want to introduce you guys to all the shows that's on the network coming up on this next slide. Peace!
Welcome in, everybody. This is Black Men Unfiltered Network. This is the one-on-one sports show. I am DONTAE.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm SHAUNY.
So we're going to get it started this week. I mean, obviously, we got a heavy NBA slate for you because literally right now, if I'm looking down, I'm checking the scores of the play-in. Got the Hawks. They up on the Hornets right now for the 9-10 spot to take on. That's whoever the winner of that game is going to be able to go on and take on. Who was they taking on?
They would take on who lost yesterday?
The Cavs.
They would take on the Cavs.
Yeah,
and the loser, he gone. They gone.
Yeah, the loser's eliminated. So we was getting into it in the pre-show. We was talking a lot about college football with Dabo and Sweeney. And so do you want to lead with that, or you want to get into the basketball first?
We can lead with Dabo.
Okay. So Dabo Sweeney, aka Dabo Luther King, and a lot of other horrible nicknames. I'm not gonna lie. I like Dabo. I used to like Dabo because it's like he got the country twang, and I thought he could succeed, Saban at Alabama. But then what he built, I was like, why would you do that? Well, my issue with him is like he is right on some things, but he's not comfortable with guys being paid. He's not comfortable making 7 to 8, 9 million, and because of an NIL deal, his quarterback, who is actually not off to a good start to his career, or is going into his third year, has a deal with Dr. Pepper. He has a Dr. Pepper deal, paying him handsomely, but in commercials, but he's not performing. And my thing is with that, Dabo, all you have to do is you have the answer. He has a kid named Cade Klubnik, who's from Texas, who's going to come in and challenge him for the position. So you have the answer. He's getting paid. That has nothing to do with your pockets. And Dabo went on in the interview with ESPN about how college football needs to be blown up, and Middle Tennessee doesn't have the same problems as Alabama, and so on and so forth. And while he touched on some issues, it just stains me that Dabo has to, pick out, speak about the NIL. I got the article pulled up, and he's, mentioning things that his first thing is, I hate that it's devaluing education. And it's like, Dabo, we've seen the stories from either whether it's Real Sports, whether it's interviews on ESPN and other outlets. Bro, we know that, hey, there was a story, it was on Real Sports that was like, hey, guys, academics is number one. Sports is number two. That's what he's doing. They're telling you physically, hey, man, it's all about the football. It's all about, go ahead and making things happen. It's all doing that. And it's just like, it's just absolutely crazy.
It's all about the football. I mean, you can just see how it's constantly being real, just how conferences and stuff are constantly being realigned, all because of the football team. But because the football team want to move to this conference and to that conference, the majority of the athletic department has to move with them. So, Dabo, he's a good coach, but he's an old school coach. And he wants that old school way. I kind of can see for some coaches that protective side coming to them, where now you have young players getting paid, which I'm in favor for the NIL, but it's a double-edged sword though. I mean, you getting young players having signing these contracts to get these endorsements and this big money, and they really haven't proved anything yet at the higher level, because they can just do what they basically going off their. A lot of times, the incoming freshmen. Now, if there's some existing upperclassmen, they can sign up for something. They're a little more mature. Like with anything, because you got to have some type of maturity if you're going to be all of a sudden exposed to all this money you're going to be getting. So with some coaches, they can just picture how it can kind of change the psyche of some of the younger players, especially the incoming freshmen, when as soon as they coming out of high school or whatnot, coming in as a freshman with this huge NIL deal. So I can see how coaches, they worried about that particular aspect. But then again, I do believe that, especially with the NIL, that a person should be able to make money on their likeness.
Yeah.
They name, image, and likeness, the whole thing. So, Dabo's just an old school dude, and he wanted to blow it up, especially with that transfer portal. I guess they don't like that stuff is changing. They want stuff to be back with the old school ways. Basically, you commit to a school. But nowadays, I mean, it's a give and take with everything. Because nowadays, if some players they they don't want to commit. I mean, not really commit, but really compete. They compete against one player, they lose a spot. I don't want to be here no more. They'll transfer to another school. And sometimes it work. I think majority of the time it doesn't work. They just keep going down. They get forgot about. So I can see it on both sides, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see him because I'm just looking at it like his what he said on Name Image and Likeness. He was like, you know, he's for it, but he's like, there's no rules, there's no guidance, no nothing, no sustainable. It's an absolute mess and a train wreck. And it's just like, Dabo, we understand that. It's new. We can get that out. And to be honest, if you were forward thinking, they have information, and basically college football coaches, especially somewhere like Clemson, he is king. If a player's going to get arrested, he's getting the call before it hits the news. He's going to know everything. You knew that this day was coming. You were supposed to prepare, but SHAUNY, like you said, that goes back into the old school mentality. Like they wanted, like he probably would have, you know, been even better of a coach when he used to stockpile more guys. And, you know, you keep guys and they're not playing until maybe their sophomore year after they redshirted. And so, you know, when we really do that, but it's at a point now where you do have to deal with the NIL, you do have to deal with transfer portal, and the schools that get it right. And it shows like Clemson, they already had a down year and had dropped out of the top 25. They don't look like a team that's going to be forward thinking and ready to get it right. And he better figure it out, or, you know, that you know, that glory from those college football playoff appearances and the national championships, that'll fade quickly. He'll be looking for a new job. And so, you know, and the transfer portal, while we speaking on it in the pre-show, I respected the fact that, you know, guys can transfer, because I never liked the fact that the coach can be like, I want you to come talk to your mama, talk to your daddy, and you know how they get when they talking to black men.
Yeah, they're down. They'll go to a different school.
And then just gone. Like the guy that was on a recruiting trip, the coach that was at Texas Tech was at a recruiting trip, and he went and took a job in the middle of the interview, in the middle of the guy with the kid, and the kid was like, he never came back and talked to me. And I was just like, it's a real bad business like that, but just like it's on that end for you, where it benefits, it was like, oh, this great opportunity for you to go to this new school. So does that other student feel that? Like a guy like Jarrell Cox got his stock up. He was doing good at the college he was at North Dakota State, but he ended up going to LSU. And LSU didn't have a good season, but I heard his name so much. And I think he gets drafted that much higher because he goes to a more high-profile school. So sometimes it's not about the competition. And then sometimes it's just, I think it's just you being 18, 19 years old, and like Quinn Ewers. He went for the bag at Ohio State. But, hey, Quinn, you didn't look and see that C.J. Stroud was a 4 or 5-star guy that's just a year older than you, that was a redshirt freshman. So even if he's successful and you get a chance, you're going to have to sit how many years behind him? And sometimes guys just go. Like, you know, and it's like,
yeah,
you go
they don't sit
and if you're a quarterback, I'm not saying you go to a bad school, but you have to look at it as, okay, realistically, when I'm going to play, it's probably best for you to redshirt your freshman year and then go on and play. That's one of the good things about, like, you know, kid like Arch Manning. His family know, hey, we're going to redshirt you wherever you go. And then after that redshirt freshman year, basically the keys are going to be yours, because I think he's the number 1 player in his class. So that's normally how that's going to go. And those rankings do mean something. But also in the transfer portal now, it's like, hey, when they come out, they're ranking those guys in the transfer portal. All on ESPN. Yours was one of the top ones. And the receiver, the quarterback from Oklahoma, Caleb Williams, who ended up going to USC. And this is like, hey, for some guys, building through the transfer portal, which means you missed on recruits. But it's more pressure on the coaches. And I know they don't like that, where it's just like, hey, what was it that you used to get the recruiting cycle, your first class? So when you get the job in, let's say, January, okay, that recruiting class is basically the other coaches. So next year starts your recruiting class. So from that period on, you get to recruit 3 or 4 years, and then you get some progress. Now it's just like, okay, recruit some 5-star guys. You'll fire the coach in November so that you can get the coach and try to get the guys for early National Signing Day. And then you want to clean up in February and then get some transfers, and they want to see results year 1.
Yeah.
Like year 2, if you like, you know, if it's not happening, you're in trouble. Like Steve Sarkisian in Texas is going to be in trouble if he doesn't. Now,
so you can see it from both sides. I mean, the coaches, college coaches are trying to win games because they're getting fired at just a rapid rate right now. So they go to, it depends what school, like, the big ones, like the University of Texas, of course, the Clemsons, they come in for their coaches. They want championships. They provide all these resources. So the coaches want to do the best thing. Their best interest as far as the football program as a whole. The players' interests, for the most part, are themselves.
Yeah.
So whether that's, getting a nice bag with an NIL deal or hitting the transfer portal to go somewhere where they believe they may have a better opportunity to play, so, and that's when you constantly see both sides, butting heads.
Yeah.
Because one of them is doing, his main focus is the program. And because that's their livelihood, that's their job. If they don't perform well, they getting fired. So the player, well, if they have any sort of talent, they trying to get on a team that can showcase their talents, or two, because some of them, well, I believe if they have the talent, I believe they all want an NIL deal.
Yeah.
But if they know that they have the talent to go pro,
yeah,
I don't really think it's really.
You got to get more.
Some of them probably getting something behind the scenes anyway.
Yeah, and Black Man, I seen what you said about how it affects HBCUs, and I feel like Jackson State is a prime example of what it's doing. You're getting guys where it's like, instead of sitting on the bench over here, let me come over here into Jackson State. Let me come over here to a Prairie View A&M. Let me come over here to a Southern University. Let me come over here to, these different schools, because Hampton's been doing it for years, getting transfers from major college schools and producing. But now with the spotlight on HBCUs, you get to see, this is how Dabo talks to you, and this is how he feels. And it's kind of like, hey, are you making the right call on signing day? Or are you making the call with, hey, this is a big name school, and this is how it goes, and this is the system. The system don't have to be that you go to these Power 5 schools and you still get noticed, because if anyone is not telling you from the jump, you need to be focused on getting the education, because the opportunities at the next level are not guaranteed. So you're competing for that, but you need to be going to an environment that's going to prepare you for life after football. And sometimes, as we've seen countless stories, the Power 5 schools aren't preparing their guys they're not preparing their guys for life after that. They're just trying to get their bottom line done.
Yeah.
What's going on, Marcus? I see you in the chat, but
I saw a Black Man asking the question about the HBCUs and how will this affect them.
I love it.
I think if they can take advantage of it, they can take advantage of it. And then of course it's about like what Dion is doing with Jackson State, how he is constantly trying to
stir the pot.
Yeah, stir the pot and get the exposure for Jackson State. And then he's going to try to go, he's going to try to make it bigger. Right now he's the head coach of Jackson State. So his main focus is getting Jackson State more exposure. Once Jackson State, was able to open the door, then he's going to try to open up more towards SWAC and, other HBCUs. But yeah, as far as NIL really both NIL and transfer portal, HBCUs can definitely benefit from it. Only thing about it though, it's just everybody doesn't have a Deion Sanders as their head coach. So you got Jackson State getting exposure and getting all these games shown on ESPN and whatnot. But what happens if they go to Alabama State or Texas Southern and stuff like that? So they can benefit from it, especially if it's like a well-named person. But that person's going to have a mindset of being a trailblazer, because obviously they're going to go to somewhere that's not going to have the exposure, may not have currently the resources or the training facilities. You can imagine somebody coming from a big school, just a Power 5 school, even a school like, I want to say Texas Tech, and all of a sudden they go down to Prairie View. Yeah, they got good intentions. They want to grow the program at Prairie View. They got to have that extra mentality, because Prairie View is not going to have the resources as Texas Tech.
And I'm glad you spoke on that, Shawnee, because it brought me to something that I read from Master P. Son. And like, so Master P had him there at playing basketball at Tennessee State, and he was something where there was a knee injury. And so he, of course, was like, the facilities weren't that great. And, he went outside and got a second opinion. So he's sitting out, and then it's like, he's still saying, oh, we still support HBCUs, but there's when the but comes, and after the but is funding and facilities, you knew that coming in. Did you not come and visit the campus? I'm pretty sure you had visited Power 5 campuses, and you know that there is a distinct difference. And that's the thing where it comes as a mindset and a commitment. You can't just do it because Prime got the juice on it, and it was during the pandemic, and it was just everywhere. And it's like, no, you have to make a mindset that's like, after the glitz and the glamour, hey, this is your life day to day. It's going to be a little different, and if you want to bring the attention, but also know that it's coming to do the work and be a regular student athlete. Don't make yourself above anyone else, and don't down it too much. You're telling us something that we already know as far as HBCU. We know, hey, the facilities ain't the same. We got to do things a little different. We're going to take that game against the Power 5 school. We're going to take that bag. Lose by a large portion, and we know how that goes. It sucks, and I support. That's something I support Deion in doing. And he called it out, and then they beat us. He was just like, "Hey, why is Prairie playing this game and messing up their
exactly?" That was this past season. Normally they play those Power 5 schools early in the schedule, and I remember Prairie View, they was on a nice win streak, and then they finally lost. I think their first SWAC game. So they'll just come off that loss. So instead of, let's rebound against our next SWAC opponent next week, they all of a sudden A&M was scheduled like week, a 10-game season? A&M was scheduled week 8.
Yeah, it was scheduled.
And then they go
really late.
Yeah, then they go in there and just get destroyed by A&M. So now you're coming off of a loss from a SWAC, your first loss, and then you go against A&M and get destroyed. So now your confidence is just shot. So I believe the next game they end up losing as well. And then they went to go to play the SWAC championship against Jackson State. Well, Jackson State had a little win streak going into that championship game. PV was on a slide, and you can clearly see that A&M game that was scheduled. Now I know a lot of times these games are scheduled like seasons in advance.
Yeah,
I'll be like, man, keep that in the early part of the season.
You can't play them that late in the season. They played them on November 20th, and then they came back, and like you said, the next week they lost to Mississippi Valley, who actually was really improving this year. And then you lost the championship, the game to Jackson State.
They just went on the slide.
Yeah, they went on the slide, and it's just like, man, you can't have that. You can understand them being in a situation where, hey, they have this game and you need this money. But it comes to a situation is like, you need to play those early, and you need to save the later part of your season for playing your conference games only. Or if you have one where you're playing, a smaller HBCU for your homecoming and so on and so forth, then you take that game. But doing that and Deion leading in the way of kind of saying, hey, you've been doing things like this. What if you do it like that? What if you do it in this way? And people should be open to listening to him. And the only thing I'll say as far as Deion being at Jackson State, and some things that he's just going to have to take better, just like in the pros, you got to take the trash talk and different things like that. Deion, when they put you up on the scoreboard with prime time and stuff and the joke, you got to just take that and roll with it. Because it's like, hey, at a college, these guys are here 4 years. You can be here for 30. You are the star. You are the face of the program. So on that's just like a small disagreements I had with him. That and the Coach Prime thing was kind of wild, but other than those things, it's been a lot about the ball. And with him being a player that was focused on himself a lot, I was worried about that coming in. I was worried about how much is this going to be about Coach Prime versus the guys. And it's true, it's about the guys. The other teams are noticing like, hey, I'm not sure if their big name hires like a Eddie George is going to move the needle like they thought. I'm not sure if Hugh Jackson is going to, move the needle like they wanted to in a positive way, because he already did the Art Browse thing. That was terrible. But
I thought that would, now football related, that Art Browse hire, I believe would have worked. Football related.
Football wise, it would have worked, but you got to know the temperature of the room. And when you talk to Doug Williams,
they destroyed that dude.
And because I want to say a buddy of mine Alex Smith, Alex Goodwin, he was like, look, man, if you have somebody saying that's basically the face of your program after Eddie Robinson, that's not a good move, you probably shouldn't make it. And so then you make it, and then you have to fire him. And it's like, yeah, we know offensive mind-wise, with getting the right skill players, that would have been a problem and hard to stop. And not to mention that himself, he was an offensive coach. And, so you would have had two offensive minds, but it just wasn't the right time for Hugh Jackson to make that call. Because basically everyone, and all people are like, well, it's like the way things ended with that, he's just been outcast and written off. He coached at that little high school in Texas, and it's just not going to happen for him anymore. But I'm really interested to see, the impact of a guy like the Dabo Sweeneys of the world and the other coaches that losing power, how they respond, how they bounce back, how they deal with the transfer portal. Because, the HBCUs are coming to get guys and build their programs and make them, more established and, better places to not just get the transfer portal kids, but to get more Travis Hunters day one saying, look, I'm going to Jackson State. I'm going to Mississippi Valley. I'm going to Alcorn, who was a really, really quality program, and it, and has won, multiple SWAC titles. So I think that is going to be something to really look for going forward in college.
Mm-hmm.
So
get that transfer portal that Dabo is not a fan of.
Now
having transfer down to the HBCUs.
They need to come. They need to come and bring them. And it's about these coaches getting connections and working.
They would damn sure use it the other way though. If the HBCU,
they would. But
players want to go to them
on the transfer portal. And I'll say this, and I know it's easy to say that because where my allegiance lies with Prairie View and them, and it's just like, hey, build the guys from within and get those guys, and then you pluck a few transfers. Because at the end of the day, what's going to build your program is the guys that are going to be there for 4 or 5 years, knowing your system, making things happen. Because, hey, man, I don't think there was any surprise. That was a surprise to me that Jackson State didn't win the Celebration Bowl. Well, when you look at it, that coach did mention, hey, we've had our guys here for X amount of time and building the way. And I do think at that part in the season, it didn't matter about continuity. It was just they played a better game than you. Shedeur was a freshman quarterback, and he looked like a freshman quarterback. And it hit wrong for him. I'm not saying it, but now going forward, instead of the 5-star coming later, the 5-star is there now. Travis Hunter is there day one. And, it was crazy to hear guys talk about, what's the guy Emmanuel Acho. I hate that he just is so hot takey, and he's really smart. But for him to go and be like, I don't know if Hunter's going to be able to see the same opportunities and get drafted. I'm like, bro, stop acting like North Dakota State hasn't become the draftable school. Like, literally, you had a guy getting taken number 2 and number 3 overall at quarterback in the last 6 years. Like, just, stop making it like you can't get drafted from outside of the Power 5 structure. That's, it just doesn't make much sense to me. But given the score update, looked like the Hawks up 65-54 on the Hornets, man. So I picked the Hawks to win that one because the Hornets, I felt like I love LaMelo Ball, but they don't have enough yet. He has to do some maturing and get his game right, but they need something else. And I ain't gonna lie, Trae Young, he impressed me last postseason. So he showed.
So you thought against the Knicks, he became the Knicks' number one enemy.
I loved it. I loved it because I was like, I love the way he played to the crowd, and he just, he did his thing. So I'm looking forward to that one. But that was the last playing game I'm interested in. The Pelicans and the Spurs. I mean, I'll tune in on it, but I'm really ready to get things going for Saturday because, playoff wise, man, it's like, it sucks here in the Metroplex. The Metroplex was excited, and then for Luka to get hurt. But I think the rest of the playoffs still have excitement. I mean, for you to get, everyone talks about the ratings and nobody watching. Out the gate, you get Celtics and Nets. With Kyrie fully healthy and going, KD fully healthy and going. You might even get an appearance from the part-time player himself, Ben Simmons. I mean, who knows? If he decides to show up and play ball. But I don't know, man. I already know. Watching the end of the season didn't change my mind. So, I'm gonna ask you, who do you think you got winning on the basketball side?
Well, before I get to that one, because you brought up the point about I guess I haven't seen the ratings yet, but I guess the ratings during regular season.
Yeah.
And my whole thing about that is that the players kind of brought that on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to sit. I mean, it was actually kind of started by Coach Pop in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But he was doing that because he had an older roster. So he was really trying to keep there. That's why he was putting old instead of that DNP or whatever DNP reason, he was putting old. But now it's just a thing. It's just normal. The regular season in the NBA is just not taken as serious. You know, so compared to football, fans live and die literally on every week.
Every week.
You got a whole every week. Baseball has a lot of games, but those regular season games matter because they go in such an up and down swing throughout the season. They need those games so they can all of a sudden get out whatever funk they're in. Because in baseball, you really just can't turn it up in a game. Nah. If you're in a slump at the end of September, that slump is going to take you into October. Now, that's what happened, you know, in the World Series last year when my Astros playing against the Braves. During the regular season, Astros had pretty much the number one offensive numbers in the main offensive categories in the AL. And they were showing that also in the first 3 rounds. Well, really the first round at ALCS of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden they just struggled all of a sudden right there against Atlanta. Atlanta was kind of on the opposite side. They was just kind of floating. And then they lost their main player and started getting these trades to get back into the season. They was kind of floating, but then they started improving. They kind of did what the Giants did when they won the Super Bowl. Giants was just kind of sitting there, and also they started playing their best football at the end of the season. So the Braves started playing their best baseball. So that regular season in both football and baseball means something. But in the NBA, it's just like you damn near just want to throw it away almost.
Yeah, your legacy is really built on the postseason, and that comes from the older generation. They've been telling.
And that's Trae Young. Getting back to Trae Young.
Yeah,
Trae Young he was playing for a team. Nobody talks about the Hawks. I mean, matter of fact, if you go to a Hawks game, you're gonna have more fans from the visiting team there rooting for that team instead of the Hawks. But Trae Young is always gonna be tied to Luka. But Luka was at least making it to the playoffs. So Luka was getting that exposure and getting that attention and whatnot. And I was like, you just don't hear about Trae Young, but Trae Young was balling pretty much just like Luka. Now Luka was doing a little bit more, but Trae Young was doing this thing in Atlanta. They never talked about Atlanta. But once they finally made it to the postseason, and he had the perfect opponent, the Knicks, he just all of a sudden now they treat him like they did Reggie Miller. As soon as they see him, they want to cuss him out on sight. But he made his name in that postseason. Yeah. So regular season in the NBA, but all that though going back into who I'm gonna have to still go with I'm gonna say the Suns. I think last year they learned a lot. And now this year they look like they've been on a team on a mission. This year they reminded me of the Spurs when the Spurs lost that championship first against the Heat.
Yeah.
And then they came back. They was on a mission the whole season. They were just, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna beat you. And even if they played the Heat and then just pretty much was kind of just outplayed them thoroughly. Yeah, just outplayed them thoroughly. Yeah. They were just on a mission. So that's how I look at the Suns right now. They kind of on that same boat because they just been cruising at the top of the NBA from wire to wire. And then but is that Marcus down there?
That's Marcus, man.
What's up, guys? Marcus? How y'all doing?
Fine.
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just we was over here talking a little basketball, trying to see how this play-in situation was gonna play out. And it's like the play-in, to be honest, I was skeptical about it at first, and I know people say, well, it hasn't stopped tanking. To a degree, it has. To a small degree, whereas, hey, if you're at the 11th spot, you can go ahead and fight to get the 10th spot. And you and the players don't want to tank. it's management that wants to tank, and players are like, hey, my job's on the line. If I get a chance to get into the postseason, you know, I got a contract. I got my next contract coming up. If not this year, you know, in the next year or two. And they know, you know, hey, the playoffs are looked at a certain way versus the regular season. And that's why they're thinking about a play-in tournament. I think with the success of the play-in, the in-season tournament might happen because you have to find a way to engage that regular season. Because you're paying these contract dollars, you know, for these TV contracts. If they're paying good money, they want quality product on the court. And so you have to find a way, because the other thing that's working out for them is everyone wants to get into analytics. I'm big into them as well. Well, some of the numbers and the data suggest, hey man, sometimes it's not a good idea to have, you know, these guys playing 4 games in 5 nights, sleeping uncomfortably. You're waiting for injuries to happen. So you have that and the rising salaries. Hey, I'm paying this guy $250 million. I need him as healthy as I possibly can get. So that's kind of where it's kind of like, you know, Mark Cuban was notorious for saying he didn't really want his guys playing the Olympics. He was like, they not paying them $100 million. And I was like, yo, Cuban, I don't blame you. And that was right at the heart of when, you know, Team USA actually went down. And so it's going to be interesting to me to see, you know, who's going to be able to turn it on. Like, basketball is a turn it on sport. And what's going on, Jay?
What's up? Shout out to all the brothers that's talking about the NBA right now, because this is the most. I ain't gonna lie, I'm actually excited for the playoffs in the East side.
Me
opposed to the West is gonna be good regardless, but this might be the first time I've ever been excited that the East has ever been this good. Let's be real.
It's been
every team's looking good.
Every team, like, man, we get the Celtics and the Nets coming up first, and it's like, if you get that, it's tough for the Nets facing the number 2 seed, but if you knock them off, then you got an easier road. And, you know, if they knock them off, I think in the 3-6 matchup.
Oh, with the
DONTAE?
Lost DONTAE that quick.
It happens sometimes. It's all right.
Okay. I was getting I was getting hyped from his explanation, and then it just, what the heck? All right, there you go, brother. There you go,
good, brother.
So, I'm gonna say you was like mid explanation and just dipped, and I'm like, what happened, man?
yeah. But I was saying, everybody likes to talk about that toe on the line for KD, but they don't also mention that KD was up 2-0. Like KD, like, not to make this this player versus this player, but KD is a guy that I'll say KD and Steph are guys that they get passes. You know, they get passes for things that other players would like, that are Russell Westbrook. You know, I don't want to say another particular player's name because that creates another issue, but like a Westbrook or anyone else, they get killed for it. So it's like, I want to see what KD and Kyrie is going to do. I want to see a healthy Kyrie and see what they do, because I feel like Giannis is the best player in the world, and I feel like if you take Giannis's name and you put KD's name and that performance that he did, then he's the best player in the world. And the other thing I want to say is, okay, if you're the best player in the world, you know, I understand the injuries. You shouldn't have been in the play-in, but it happened. So now that you're in the play-in, I want to see, can you advance around? Because you saw what happened last year. The Lakers were the star team in the play-in, and they didn't make it. And then you had the Warriors. They lost to the upstart Grizzlies, the Grizzlies playing against the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards and John Morant. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for that. That's actually gonna be good. But let's be real. I think the Grizzlies is coming out on that. I ain't gonna lie.
I think they come out. I just want to see Anthony.
Did they make it to the second round?
Championship.
Yeah, I didn't make it to the second round. I'll say that. I didn't make it to the second round. And we'll go to the West real quick. I was surprised the freaking Timberwolves won last night, because I had to watch all the highlights because I missed the game, and I watched it how there was slowly, like, you know, 5 points ahead or 3 points ahead. Clipper was trying to edge him out, and then all of a sudden Patrick Beverly and the Mans just go crazy, and they just come back in with a come behind victory. And I'm just
it was surprising they won that game, because what's his name? Towns
fouled out.
Foul trouble. And he eventually fouled out.
And that's my thing with Towns. Like I understand, bro. You're a great shooting big man, but bro, like, and when it's time, when we need you, he disappears, and he's a guy that the only way they're going to succeed is if Anthony Edwards takes that next jump, because he's shown leadership-wise, he's an alpha male, and he's an entertaining interview. Like, that's the thing I'm excited about, is him coming to the podium after he just yammed on somebody and just had a crazy game. What is he going to say? Because the way Memphis gets down, and the way he gets down, that meshes well together to make an entertaining basketball.
Yeah, it should by no means be stale. It should not be stale at all.
I salute ESPN for actually giving Memphis credit. Like, I had a friend of mine was just like, man, ESPN's talking about the Grizzlies and people are now buying them. I'm like, I'm glad they are, because putting all the stock into the Nets and the Lakers, two teams that one that got into the playoff playing and one missed the playoffs completely. Let's talk about the teams that have succeeded. Like, the Bulls were getting a lot of love early, and as expected, they faded. But it's no problem.
Yeah. They are fading, and it's crazy.
They got
so
that
highly of them this year.
Yeah, they got that love early, but then one stat that was slowly coming into light until ultimately you basically saw it was that stat versus
winning teams.
Winning teams plus 500 teams. It was winless. So I was like, and then once they kept broadcasting that stat, it's like at the same time the Bulls just started. It was like number one.
Yeah,
they were
number. It was like number one at one point. Yeah. And the Heat and the Bucks were behind at that point. I think.
And the Heat. They were ahead. Solid the whole season.
Yeah, and they're my favorite team, of course. Like, that's my number one team. I've been a Heat fan since Shaq went to Miami, so I'm curious like how well they'll do. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I want to see them get to the finals like they did with the Lakers in that bubble, because I ain't gonna lie, I by the time we was in pandemic, I didn't even know these cats even made it to the freaking conference finals. Like, I'm like, what? And they're going against the Lakers, and I'm just like, how'd they get so good?
Yeah, we had dealt without sports for so long, and then they got hot. So it's one of those deals where
they did something.
The Heat, they got the players, they got some good talent, but I don't know, like if Hero steps up,
can they close it out? Yeah.
If Hero steps up, if Butler's gonna make enough plays, but I think the wild card is that can help them is Kyle Lowry. They got Lowry, for the postseason.
I've been hearing that.
So I would like to see how they progress, but it's just, going up in these matchups. I know it's tough that the Mavs are not gonna have Luka Doncic, but coming up.
How long is Luka expected to be up?
Man,
how long is he out for?
A lot of speculation, and it's kind of like they're not trying to give up word, but I'm thinking that he might miss definitely the first 2 games, and then they gotta kind of see from there. But they're not saying anything until Saturday to not tip their hand. And so with them, I think they win that series pretty easily. Without him, I think they could probably lose it pretty easily.
Wait, who are the Mavs going up against?
Utah Jazz.
Oh, Utah Jazz. Oh.
With
Luka, if it was Luka, I think they probably close to 4 and 3.
Donovan shows up in the playoffs.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So if there's no Luka, the Mavs don't have nobody to keep up with Donovan once that boy gets going.
Nah.
I don't know.
They got some good bigs, but it's not enough.
They don't have a Donovan Mitchell. Luka supposed to be the one that go blow for blow with Donovan. I know Utah this regular season.
I think you shut them down, actually.
Yeah, regular season Utah. They was up and down and losing games. They had leads on and whatnot. The playoffs, everybody's 0-0.
But Murray also shows up though, and from the Nuggets, he also shows up in the playoffs.
Yeah, but did he come back yet?
Now he hasn't come back yet. They still waiting on him to come back. So what I've heard is that if they can get past the Warriors, which is a tall task, he might be able to come back later on, like in the next series.
Then you asking somebody, it's like the Ben Simmons boat. I heard he may be trying. You asking somebody who hasn't played all season. Also, you're gonna throw them in the mix in a playoff environment where these dudes are, they got to get their rhythm. They got all that got to come back.
Conditioning. It's one of those deals where Ben Simmons is going to have to play minutes, and somebody like Steph Curry. Steph was trying to, he's expected to come back, but I don't want to disrespect Jokic because I think he's going to go back to back on the MVPs. I think they need Steph for this series.
I don't want to see that. I want to see somebody else win MVP.
I would like to see somebody else win it, but from the advanced numbers to the counting numbers, he's provided a season in which no one's really ever done, and so it's kind of tough to just say, hey, I would love for Embiid to win it, But Embiid, he had a good season, but I don't think he had as good as a season as Jokic has had.
I just it's not that I'm not a Jokic fan. I mean, I like watching the big guy play, but at the same time, it's like, Embiid, I think he deserves an MVP. I've seen, Jason Tatum put in work. I've seen Steph carry. I've seen
Tyler too. Like all these
I seen Steph carry the team. I seen KD carry the team. I seen all these cats that show up, and then I get it, like Jokic. Yeah, but like Jokic and them, we see what we get, but once it comes to like the second round, the Nuggets are out. Once it's the second round, Nuggets are done. So
it's a regular season award. Like he's the first player, 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists. And we're talking about carrying teams. He didn't have Jamal Murray, and then he didn't have Michael Porter Jr. with the bet. So it's just like he's carrying them, and they had a 6 seed. They wasn't even in the play-in. So it's like I feel you on saying that Embiid did play a lot of the season without Ben Simmons, and he played really good ball. But I mean, it's talking about the raw stats and the advanced numbers. It leans towards Jokic. So I think he's going to take it. If Embiid got it, I'd be happy for him. But I want to see. I want to see Embiid have some playoff success because I see a lot of people saying that the Raptors are a problem.
I keep hearing that too. I keep hearing that. I've been hearing it all day.
Raptors have a built-in. They have a built-in kind of default, whatever, that's not even basketball related. Now, it's the fact that they play in Canada. In Canada, they're not gonna let you play if you're not vaccinated. So if there's any key player on a team, that they happen to be playing against, they can't play like if they happen somehow to play the Nets, and Kyrie gonna be right back in the position. It's gonna be the opposite. He was able to play on the road but couldn't play at home.
Yeah,
but this time he can play at home.
He can't play at home.
So the Raptors have, and they're a fairly decent team, but that little built-in kind of advantage they have. Now, if a team is vaccinated, then they don't have to worry about nothing.
I mean, with that,
you never really know who got the. You just never really know what their status is when it comes to that. So you may be watching the game or right before the game, this person DNP, like what the hell?
Yeah, Dabo, because Dabo is their wing defender. Defensively, they have issues because Dabo is a defender, but he won't be able to travel. You can't even travel.
Dabo's a different case though. He took that Johnson & Johnson shot, and for some reason, somebody didn't inform him. That's a two shot, thing. It's not like the other ones. It's a single shot. He didn't take the second dose, and I guess that nobody in the Sixers told him you need to take the second dose. So now he's stuck. He was like, man, who? Yeah, somebody wasn't paying attention to the paperwork.
Well, I'm gonna say this for you guys. What 3 teams? If you had to put any guess for each like division. So for the East, what 3 teams do you have coming out there, and then what 3 teams do you have coming out in the West? I know everybody's gonna say the Suns number 1. Who'll be your second pick for that? Because I got for the West, Suns, Warriors, Grizzlies. Them the only 3 I can see coming out. Easily. And the Grizzlies is iffy. But
see that's where it gets tricky. My easy one would be the Mavs. The Mavs was my dark horse, but with Luka
dark horse, okay,
that's fair. But I definitely think the Grizzlies is going to make it to the next round. Obviously the Suns, and I would say other than that, out West, I don't know. I'm thinking Utah is going to take it because they got the easy. Without Luka, I just don't see the Mavericks. I don't see Dorian Finney-Smith stepping up that much because those guys with the Mavericks, they all get their production off of Luka. Luka takes so much gravity, so it's like he's doing this and then
he rotates the team.
Shooter. Yeah. He does all of it. On the East, they're gonna kill whoever they face in the first round. I think the Heat are gonna kill them, and then the Bucks. The Bucks are my team. That's just like not getting enough love. And I'll say the Sixers. I got love for him. I like it because for me it's because for me it's either the Heat, Milwaukee, and dark horse is Nets. Yeah, I was gonna say the Nets. I'm not buying the Celtics. I'm not buying the Celtics.
I'm not buying the Celtics either.
I know what he's gonna do. Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's the one. I love that. Jaylen Brown, bro, had success. But and I know Marcus Smart can make some timely plays. Even though what he did with Steph was dirty, but so I see that it just
I like how you pointed it out.
There's no, come on, man. That man not even in the playoffs right now. Which
I know.
Which I know it would be impressive to me, especially with no Steph. If Jokic wants to get like Marcus was just saying him about the MVP. If he want to get some more respect, he come out and ball out and win this series. He'll definitely get some people because people forget about him getting to the Western Finals and coming back from that 3-1 deficit in the bubble. But if he gets another big win against the Warriors, because the Warriors are stacked, like Kuminga and Clay back and Draymond back. I mean, Poole. They got some pieces.
Yeah. To speak how crazy the East is, though, we talking about a team that was in the play-in game that actually has a legit chance of winning the title.
Yes.
Oh, you talking about Timberwolves?
The Nets. No,
Nets. Okay.
They have a legit chance of winning the title. They was just in the play-in tournament.
And speaking of the play-in, you got the team that made it to the East Finals, one half of the East Finals in the play-in, the Hawks. And people just forget, they was in the conference finals, bro. Like,
it was.
If Trae Young catches fire, it's a wrap.
Probably could have beat the Bucks last year if Trae Young was still, he got the game that got hurt. What was that? Was that a game 7?
I think that was it might have been game 4, I think.
Game 4 or 5.
It was game 4.
Trae Young, he was lighting the Bucks up.
Yeah, they only won one, I think, against that series, if I'm not mistaken.
Now they
against Bucks?
No, they went to like 6 games. It was like a 6-7 game series.
The Hawks lost that series because Trae Young got hurt. Because Trae Young, they couldn't stop Trae Young.
They couldn't stop
Trae Young was, he was.
Wait, Giannis couldn't stop Trae Young? What the heck?
Nobody could stop him.
Trae Young made his name known last year.
Throughout that Eastern.
Giannis like slap any 3-point shooter guy if you're trying to make a shot. That's the crazy part.
And Drew is an awesome defender. Like Drew Holiday's defense, like
kryptonite. Drew Holiday.
He was getting on him, but it's like really Drew had more of an impact in the Sun series.
But Trae was still dropping 40 points.
Trae was dropping
35, 40, 45 points.
That whole it literally was an injury that took Trae Young out the playoffs.
Yeah,
nobody was stopping Trae Young.
It's tough.
I love Trae too.
It's real tough when it happens, man.
Nobody was stopping Trae.
Well, let me ask you a question. If the Bucks do make it out of the East and you get the Suns again, do you think the freaking Suns are going to get clapped again like last time, or do you think it's going to be more of a fight? For me, I think the Bucks are the kryptonite. That's what I think. If Giannis does everything,
I think so.
LeBron,
Giannis
then yes.
That's the big joker. And you can't stop him. Like you can't. They
got nobody on that caliber.
Well, because
doing nothing to Giannis.
Because the Suns weren't the Suns up like 2-1 or 2-0 in that last year in the finals.
It was 2-0, and then the Bucks came back and won
4 straight.
And then Chris Paul fumbled it at their own court. I remember he had too many turnovers. You think
before you joined in, Jay, I made a point to DONTAE. The Suns, they remind me of the Spurs back in 20.
Okay.
What was that? 2013.
That was 14.
Yeah, the 2013-14 year.
When the Spurs lost against the Heat that first time, that next season, the Spurs were on a mission. No matter who that was in front of them, they just blew them out the water.
Right.
The Suns are doing that same thing from wire to wire. The Suns been the best team in the NBA. And they just going through. They pretty much line them up. They on a mission, because the way people was already last year, people was looking at both the Bucks and the Suns last year, because I have never seen a whole playoff tournament that was so impacted by injuries. I mean, they both was playing teams.
That's what I said.
They was just losing their
injured people.
That was Suns. I think every team
the Suns beat the Lakers, the whole team.
That team lost either their best. Well, basically every team the Suns played that last year.
And then
wasn't the best player because of the Nuggets, but their best scorer.
Jokic was there.
The Suns lost. They played against a team that had the best scorer. It was the Lakers, and then the best scorer for the Nuggets is Murray. Jokic is the best player. Murray didn't play. And there was another team that they played. Who was the other team that they played that they had their best scorer?
They played the Clippers without
exactly.
They played the Clippers.
So every team was missing their best scorer.
Close. Yeah, that was close.
And that's my whole issue. I know people they hate LeBron so much they have a disdain for the Lakers. When you bring up the bubble championship with an asterisk, can you put the asterisk on that year's because more games from All-Star caliber players were missed in the 2021 season than any other season in NBA history. And like you said, we just walked through the playoffs where each round you got somebody hurt. And then the Bucks, you know, they had Harden was out. I know for them, Harden was out, and then the Heat. I don't know if it was an injury.
It was Dragic.
No, it was
Dragic was out, and then another person was out, and Kendrick Nunn. Those two cats were out.
Those guys were out, and then in the East, what's the name got hurt in the East Finals,
and then Bam too. Bam. I don't know if he was injured. Finals, so they were like 3 players before he got to the finals.
And so basically, the healthiest teams made the finals.
Yeah,
the healthiest team, and that does.
That's crazy too.
It's crazy, but it's like it's one of those deals where it's like over time, people don't.
And now the Lakers are where on the couch eating some Funyuns and Mr. Pibb.
The Lakers just screwed.
Now they got a coach, man.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Listen, I'm saying right now, I have never seen a team be more trash than the Pistons. Than the Pistons. Then there's to Lakers. I was like, this is bad to watch. I can't watch these games.
It was rough. It was
even if LeBron put up 50, it's still bad.
Yeah,
it don't mean nothing unless you don't win.
It was one of those deals to where like I think that people bought into the hype too much. Like as a fan of the team, it was like, okay, so
we got Anthony Davis, we got Russell Westbrook, we got LeBron James, we got Carmelo Anthony.
75 guys, or at least one of them, one of the 75 guys is a bench player out of his prime. LeBron is in year 19. And Anthony Davis, there's no excuse. Like he's got to take better care of his body.
Banana boat, what? No banana boat this year.
Nah.
And guess what? You're gonna get Russell Westbrook, which is a guy that could be your Achilles heel as much as he can be your strongest suit.
Yeah.
And then you got Carmelo Anthony, who don't like to play defense. He's always been like that. I can't stand players that don't play two ways. You got to play two ways to be a dominant player. LeBron did it in his prime. Kawhi does it in his prime. All the guys that do that shit on their prime, in their prime. I don't want to hear nothing about Carmelo Anthony. I get it. You got your thing with Lala on the side. We ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about the headband. We ain't about the none of that. No. We're not gonna
with the headband.
Carmelo makes a good bench player.
No, he became a good bench player. I'm with you, Shawnee. He became a good bench player. He played well enough defense. As like that's just not his strong.
Yeah, he was with the Trailblazers.
Defense takes athleticism and and anticipation.
There's still an Amber Alert. There is still an Amber Alert for where AD is at. Where is AD at?
Hospital. I mean, he's probably nursing some injuries, but
hospital shoes. He be wearing them hospital shoes on the basketball course.
Tan, hold on. Yo, Shawnee and Dante. Did y'all hear all that SBN talk about if they traded? No. If they got 3 players from the Heat and took them and then traded them for AD, and I'm like, y'all do y'all damn mind. Like, it's Eric Spoelstra is not gonna give up. Definitely is not gonna give it up. Like, give up players that are working with his team. He is not gonna trade up for AD because AD is gonna screw it up, bro. He's a glass cannon.
Yeah,
that's a shame with AD because somebody's so talented.
I like AD. I don't hate the dude, but I think he wants to be a
dependable
point guard so bad, which was so weird to me.
I mean, it's one of those deals where the dude was 6'3", then he grew 7 inches. He grew 6'10". So it's still in him.
Greek freak.
Yeah. So it's in him. But to be honest, it's a bigger disappointment the fact that him just not being able to be healthy because he was one of them dudes where it was like, as a Lakers fan, you're trying to get back. Kobe and everything happened. It was like, and I wish we could get a guy like Anthony Davis, but I was like, we don't have the assets. Then we do all that losing, we get those players. LeBron comes over, you get him, and it's like that's a guy I never thought was possible. Even though Laker fans and Laker fandom was like, that's a guy they wanted or we wanted, and then to get him to win the ship, to see what he could be at the peak, and then to never see it again, to see the short off season, and then see him get hurt in the playoffs, and then like them getting Westbrook. LeBron got to hold that L. He has to hold that.
He got to.
He has to take a step back, and he has to, because to be honest, it's bad that Russell could be traded for. I don't think it'll happen.
Boy, Damian Lillard. I keep hearing that.
I heard a first round pick from in 2027. Russell Westbrook's contract, because they're gonna buy him out for Buddy Hield and Malcolm Brogdon. Now, the only problem is Malcolm Brogdon is a guy that stays hurt too. but you're not going to get a perfect deal coming for him. If you were able to get those two players, because Buddy Hield is who we should have got, that's about as best you can do. I heard about Terry Rozier and whatever other contract the Hornets got, but as a player, Brogdon can play off the ball and he can play.
Damian Lillard.
That's never gonna happen.
They're never gonna get Dame. And I saw. Hey, listen, in a perfect world, Dame would fit with the Lakers because he's a shooter, and LeBron needs shooters. And if LeBron's gone, that means Dame can take care of business and do what he got to do. But he needs a format similar to the Trailblazers, where where he has a team running behind him as a secondary, secondary rotation. Like, all right, LeBron's off, let Dame take care of everything, put everybody in their place. And they work and they play off of Dame, his pace.
Yeah. LeBron said he's willing to either play with Luka, or going to the Mavericks, playing over there, or he might go to the Warriors. He's willing to do that. That's what they're saying.
I don't see him.
Dude, you talking about Dame or you talking about AD? Who you talking about?
LeBron.
LeBron.
Yeah, I'm talking about LeBron.
LeBron with Luka?
I think LeBron is signing an extension, and he's gonna play a few more years with the Lakers. Because I know for one thing, the Lakers don't have super rich management ownership, so they want LeBron breaking that record. They want him breaking Kareem's record, a Laker, and another Laker surpassing that. Because at this point, that's the only thing you can sell other players. Look at how
that's the only thing they can do.
Breaking records. Okay.
They can't sell.
I'm not against you, DONTAE. I'm just saying, like, is he gonna stay there for that?
At this point, yeah. I mean, at this point, if you can't tell, it was obvious he was trying to score buckets to get closer to that record. He was scoring buckets at a rate that he doesn't know. He doesn't shoot the ball that much. He doesn't. Like, he is a facilitator.
Used to, but not as much.
His lower assist seasons that he's had, because he averaged, what is he? He's a 27, 7, and 7 guy. And I think he averaged around 6. So it's just like, hey man, he clearly made an effort to get closer to that record, and he's going for it. And he went for it for better or for worse. And so it's one of those deals where the Lakers, I don't think they're gonna give up on him, because at this point, you would try to keep him. There's rumors that you might trade AD, but I think
I've been seeing that rumor too. That they might trade AD to the Bulls. If they did that means I'll say this right now. If in a perfect world, I like AD to be the way he was with the Pelicans. Like, he can lead. He can't lead a team, but he's an efficient scorer to some extent, and not be accident prone. If you combine that with DeMar DeRozan, that team, you got something special there, maybe. But
his health gonna fall.
Yeah, dude, I think he's falling off for me.
But I think I'm not
talking about him as a player. I'm talking about him being consistent.
And that's my issue. I almost want to say, hey, I know the talent, I know the injury issues, but if you keep him and you add other pieces to complement him and LeBron, I feel like that might give you a better chance to give them. At this point, it's basically like, it's not really going to happen. So you just wanted to, I don't want to go back to being an embarrassment. Like that, those last years, and when Kobe retired and then after, were an embarrassment. So to get
those 2 years are bad.
To get knocking on the door of the playoffs and then LeBron getting hurt, which you expect older players to get hurt the first year. Then you trade everybody and the trainers to get AD. You win a championship. Quick offseason, you get hurt, you lose again, and then they were what is this, McClung and Austin Reeves.
Mac McClung.
Austin Reeves.
50 games. Man, come on. I ain't trying to be close to that again. I don't even want to play in next year. So it's just like they need to find a way to get enough pieces. And Kendrick Nunn, it was like he has to opt into his deal. Of course he does. Like, he didn't play. He didn't play a game. Like, Kendrick Nunn, like, I need a lot. I need a lot, man. I need a lot more, because it's just like, look, you know that these young teams are coming. Other teams have more assets and things to do. We're trading picks from down in the future. From 2027, that, like they said, they can trade 2027 and 2029 picks. And you don't know what this team is. Nobody's under contract that long.
I want to see him cry again when they miss the playoffs next year again. That'd be hilarious. Just like when he hugged when they came back from that 3-1 deficit against the Warriors. Let me see him cry again on the banana boat.
Well, at least you brought up something positive.
I mean, no. That's different. I'm talking about him winning. I'm talking about him missing the finals on some like Kevin Durant stuff. Like, stop that.
You mean to tell me LeBron doesn't want to taste another championship, but he wants to break the record? You mean to tell me?
4.
The thing with
if he gets 5, it'll be luck.
Championship is, I mean, man, the guy's going in the year 20. I mean, come on, like another. Like,
the thing about it,
times the explosion, not
this whole thing that this dude was currently 37 years old. And he finished second or third, top 3 in scoring this season.
Yeah.
So this dude is balling still.
Yeah, he's still balling.
He's not. He was doing something that even LeBron would admit. Scoring is not his preference. He's like DONTAE. He's a facilitator. That's his preference.
He likes going to the paint. He likes,
But on that note, though, because like we on a home stretch, I want to make a pivot. As you can see down here on the ticker, there's one particular topic that I wanted to get on.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, no, he got his money. I'm glad he got his money. It's that other quarterback dude. That damn Baker Mayfield, all this disrespected talk that he talking about.
He feels disrespected by the Cleveland Browns.
I'm like, my whole thing about that is Mayfield, you had your time, and you could see the writing on the wall because they always wanted you to prove to them the next year. They never wanted to re-up your contract. They prove it again. So, and then they traded for a quarterback that's flat out just better than you.
Yeah,
he's talking about he's disrespected. I'm like, dude, go talk to Jared Goff. Yeah, Jared Goff took his team. I mean, I throw away that won his rookie season with Jeff Fisher.
Yeah,
and he just magically came awake when soon as McVay became his head coach the very next season. But he led them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and he was just never. McVay was always looking over the fence at the the greener grass. So once he found his opportunity to get Stafford,
he took
it. Full golf on. So
and the Rams could repeat.
Yeah. So if anybody could, I guess they felt disrespected.
They was getting hit back.
Yeah, it's that dude, and then there's some other quarterbacks, that was done wrong more than Mayfield. Mayfield had his opportunity. He just didn't.
He had his opportunity, and you didn't handle it the right way. There could be teams interested in you if you handle things better. Like, to be honest,
that's social media. No, I can't give it that.
A team that he can do better with, and he's better than the quarterback they have, is Daniel Jones with the Giants. He could be a fit there. He's damn sure better than Drew Lock. Drew Lock sucks. Everybody knows that. That's, I mean, he does, man.
But you also gotta give Baker credit. You gotta give Baker credit. He did take them to the playoffs. He led them to the AFC Championship.
He went in.
And guess what? Guess what else? He cashed in on his commercials.
Yeah, he did.
He got those commercials before he had anything.
Money. Commercial money.
You know who's interested in him, and he would do well for them? It's a team that has a really good defense and a strong culture and a great head coach. Steelers.
The Ravens.
Steelers. He could fit in with the Steelers, and if the Steelers can make the playoffs with Big Ben, with the shell of Ben Roethlisberger, twice in the last 2 years, he's a shell of himself.
He can fit I think on the field he can fit with the Steelers, but his personality, not really a personality, because he really doesn't cause no issues. It's just he likes to pout.
It's the way he carries himself. Like,
you don't hear about him getting in trouble. Anything. You
remember that? Now since he got caught by the police in college, you remember the college football playoff game when they played Georgia and they should have won the game, but Oklahoma's defense was bad, and the Georgia defenders was like, man, he got to humble himself. And I was like, when you're around other players of that ilk and they start to hear stuff like that, when I heard stuff like that and the way he played, I didn't see it at Oklahoma. I didn't think there was no way he'd be the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I was wrong with who I thought was number 1. I thought Darnold was, so I was wrong anyway. So none of them guys were successful. But Baker, he deserves a shot. But I'm glad they kind of freezing him out, because it's like you was doing all that pouting. You made that post about what was gonna happen because you didn't think that you had heard from circles Deshaun was going elsewhere. When he made that move, that was jokes on him. You played your hand too early. And he did all of that, and teams was like, "Oh, well, we don't want to deal with that. We want a grown up."
Cleveland gave him his weapons. He had all the
They
weapons
gave it to
he
him.
needed.
Offensive line protect. That's why Watson went there. Like Watson got the offensive line. You got great backs. Yeah. You got defense needs probably another pass.
They can fix that receiving.
Good enough.
Yeah, I actually was surprised by the Browns. I've always said that team was trash, but something changed. So I can't say that no more.
Started drafting better. They started drafting better. They must have
some crappy management in drafting. I ain't gonna lie. Before then, it must have been real bad. Nobody remembers Peyton Hillis.
Dog. Yeah, it was terrible. I don't feel sorry for Baker, but I think eventually he was a number 1 overall pick. When you have that first round status, but especially number 1 overall, he's gonna get about, even with the trouble, I say minimum 3 more chances. The first chance, he'll be a starter possibly. If it don't work there, he'll be the bridge to the next guy, and then after that, he'll be a backup. Because we're like, oh, look at his experience, and he'll be a backup. And I mean, to be
listen, if Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown can get chances, Baker Mayfield can definitely get some chances.
He definitely go. You right. He's going.
Yeah, but Baker not in that.
He's not in that class.
No, I mean
class. He ain't even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, Baker, he can pout like a little kid sometimes, but he was not he was available. You got Gordon, he couldn't stop smoking weed. Then you have Brown.
Lay off the weed.
That dude, Brown, he just
buddy.
Well, we can't even say that about Gordon. Gordon actually he did everything. Like, I was reading some stories about him. I was like, man, that dude had some troubled life. He had a troubled life. That's as polite as I can.
He also went to rehab like 20 times.
He can't get right, man.
Addiction. I mean, he probably needs somebody to speak to him therapy-wise and deal with some of the demons he got, because it's more than just a habit. It's an issue with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. As we wrap it up, man, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie, as a Cowboys fan, man, the draft is the only time the team improves. So I'm really looking forward to the draft. Like, I'm really looking forward to it, because it's like
that's all. That's you looking forward to the draft, because that's the only card they have left.
Yeah, that's it.
They made it. They made it a point that free agency, basically free agency trades, none of that, because
that's not their deal.
You're not going to sign. I don't want to say big name, because every big name is not a fit for your team, but just a key player, that's is going to ask for some money. That's a matter of fact, because Wagner. People looking at Wagner. Wagner said that he talked to the Cowboys, but they were trying to lowball him just like they were doing everybody else. So he decided to go with the Rams. But you don't want to sign no free agents. You damn sure don't want to trade no picks, because that's what you valuing. So now you put all your cards on the table is basically left of your draft picks. And what I hope is they don't have another 2019 draft. I think the only person who came was the running back.
Oh, Pollard.
Yeah, Pollard.
Yeah, that's it.
The only one who really produced. Everybody else, you got the later draft picks in 2019 are no longer on the roster. You barely people probably don't even remember who the first round draft pick was.
Tristan Hill.
Yeah, that dude. He might as well just go ahead and just give him back his contract.
So yeah, that's I'm with you. I'm right with you on that one, Shawnee, man. So man, look like we're running out of time here. So I think that's it for tonight, man, fellas. I appreciate y'all, Jay.
Yeah, appreciate
y'all. Mention it, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yo, man, let's get these playoffs going, bro.
Let's get these
playoffs. Great combo.
Staying up late for them West Coast games. It's gonna be hard.
Y'all close it out with the theme song, right?
All right, man. This is Black Man Unfiltered Network. This is the 1-on-1 sports show. I'm DONTAE.
I'm Shawnee.
Man, we'll Jay next week, man.
And I'm Shannon Sharp.
All right, y'all.
Y'all be good, man.
Peace.
All right.
Thank you.